Today is February 19th, 2015, and my name is Christina Silva, United States Marine Corps veteran, and I am obliged with this opportunity to connect with the greatest legend living, a Medal of Honor awardee, recipient, and now man of valor that is traveling the world empowering veterans to help them get through their transition from military service into civilian life. It is my honor to sit before the one and only Col Jack Jacobs, U.S. Army Colonel.
Retired.
Let's get that straight. He is retired and still serving here at New York Film Academy, advising veterans, and he's also advising via MSNBC the nation about the real deal on what service means and how we overcome. We know the word resilience.
Yes, thanks for having me. I appreciate your getting me involved, and being involved with the New York Film Academy means that I have yet an additional opportunity to positively affect the veterans, and so that they can translate their spectacular service into something that's beneficial both to them and to society.
Well, we want to thank the New York Film Academy for this opportunity in their stage, in their set, to show Americans just how real you are and concerned about the welfare and the actual, growth and healing of the military personnel when they come home.
Yes, it's something that we need to focus our attention on.
Yes.
Veterans are much more qualified to do things than they think they are. We need to do a good job of convincing them that they do have skills and capabilities that far exceed even their own expectations.
It's typical for everyone to wonder if a veteran is a good hire in this time, and we say hire a vet, support our troops so loosely. How can you validate veterans that have served as good employees?
Well, one of the things that we forget is that these are young people who have had an enormous amount of responsibility and authority at a very early age, and many of them in the crucible of combat where it's really difficult. They can do anything. And one of the things we have to do is convince veterans of something that they may know instinctively, but they really, really don't know. We have to do a much better job of telling them something that I found out myself when I got out of the Army, got hired by somebody to go on Wall Street. I had no idea. I'd never taken an economics course.
Yes.
And eventually wound up being a managing director of Bankers Trust and of Lehman Brothers. And I realized it right away, something that we need to tell veterans all the time. You can do anything. Because of the responsibility and authority that you've had, you can do it. You can do anything. The first order issue is convincing veterans of that. Second order issue is convincing employers of that. Giving a job to a veteran ain't charity. These are the best people you can find anywhere.
Well, there is a place to start out there, veterans, when you realize your objective is to become part of the entertainment industry like I have done, aspiring field reporter, educating our veterans with the latest and greatest tools and avenues to resilience, and none other than the decorated Medal of Honor recipient, Col Jack Jacobs, here sharing a moment with me and giving me a little bit of advice on, once I have my objective in mind, maybe I could start at the New York Film Academy.
Well, that's the place to go. I'm associated with the New York Film Academy for a wide variety of reasons, one of which is that the Film Academy has reached out to veterans. We have a fairly substantial percentage of the students here who are veterans, and they are the best. They are the best because they're mature, diligent, disciplined, and they focus their attention on getting the job done. I mean, they know what they're doing. I mean, they're mature beyond their years, as we've already discussed. But there's a second thing that's occurred to me about veterans at the New York Film Academy and in this business generally. Ironically, I think the most creative people are people who have military experience. And one of the reasons why is that if you are not creative, if you're the kind of person who does the same thing over and over and over again, who has no creativity, you don't survive long in the military. One of the principles of war is the element of surprise.
Yes. That's
what we live with. You can't be predictable in the military. The enemy's going to get the best of you. And as a result, ironically, most people don't think of military people as being creative. No, wrong. They are the most creative people you'll find anywhere. because they've survived because they are creative.
Yes.
The units they were in were creative. The commanders and NCOs were creative. That's the only reason why they managed to prevail over the enemy and managed to survive combat. And I think one of my jobs is to keep giving the message to veterans that New York Film Academy is the place for you. I mean, because you don't think you're creative, but trust me, you are. Think about it a little bit. And they all come to the conclusion, wow, we managed to survive because we are unpredictable. We are creative people. Seriously, I've never met people who are more creative in or out of this business, in or out of the New York Film Academy, than people who have military experience.
That's amazing to hear. Accepting that I'm creative and that I adapt and overcome, which is one of the principles I learned early in my Marine Corps career, right after boot camp. It's fake it till you make it, and it's improvisation, and then it is creativity through leadership when you're rising in the ranks. And when you started off as a first lieutenant and you were dropped into a scene where you had to basically survive and be accountable for so many other soldiers, that creativity is, a little bit heightened for that goal to make it home, right?
Well, yeah, it's absolutely true. I remember a conversation I had on the radio in a particularly bad firefight. One of the first ones in which I was involved early on in 1967, and we were in an urban area, totally surrounded, and I had no idea what to do. I called back to my boss, who was a major and had been an enlisted man in Korea in the Army, got a commission. He was on his second or third tour in Vietnam, was back somewhere in the rear area, but he had every right to be. He spent his time in combat. I called him back and said, I have no idea what to do. I need some guidance. I don't know what to do. You're going to have to give me some advice. And he said, well, I'm not there, actually, and so I can't make a complete evaluation of the situation. You're best qualified to do that because you're there. But I will give you some advice. I said, what is it? What is it? He said, you better do something, even if it's wrong, out here. And he was absolutely right. I mean, it was a crisis, and I had to do something even if it's wrong. And I was the guy best qualified to dream up some way of getting me and my men out of this predicament and defeating the enemy. And given that motivation, I did. And I realized at that time that if you were a creative person, if you could think outside the box, you were going to survive and you were going to win, and your people would too.
14 very, very valuable comrades of yours were those that you risked your own life to save. And when you shared last evening lecturing here at New York Film Academy with Warner Brothers, you told us in the audience that you thought if you could just get a perpendicular view, if you could just get an angle in those hours to save your troops and bring them to safety, that you did that. And that is the kind of creativity that we applaud, that can easily help translate into a very valuable career like you have. Author and analyst and reporter, advisor, and now mentor to so many.
So I give you the one bit of advice that was given by, of all people, Oscar Wilde, who once said, be yourself, everybody else is already taken.
I am sure we have done a marvelous job educating our veterans. I'm Christina Silva, so honored to have you. Thank you, Col Jack Jacobs, our Medal of Honor recipient.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and Semper Fi from an old soldier.
Yes.